I'm here in some of the really magical wilderness of Gari, Fraser Island, in a very special spot. It's not far out of Kingfisher Bay Resort, but at one stage during World War II, this area where I am right now was one of the most top secret sites in Australia and a key part of the war effort. Near the Mackenzie's jetty on the western shore of Fraser Island, this site was a commando school. It was located in the bush at the top of North White Cliffs from late 1943 to the end of World War II. And here you can get a sense of what the site was like through the ruins, the remnants, and what you can find on the ground, the artifact scatters. During its operation, the facility provided intensive training for 909 elite forces to prepare them for the special operations behind Japanese lines. This location here on Gari was chosen because of the island's features. They offered ideal jungle and amphibious training conditions, whilst isolation facilitated the necessary secrecy. There at the time was also some fear that the Japanese might try and land here, so this was a useful place to place some forces to identify them and defend the area. In addition to tents, the commando school had a number of permanent structures, and the remnants of them can still be found here by people interested in this unique part of our nation's history. Some of the buildings included a cinema, lecture huts, a 10-bed hospital, weapons and powder magazine, kitchens, workshops, library, post office, boat shed, and a gymnasium. These features can still be interpreted and understood through building foundations, concrete slabs, timber posts, and artifact scatters. There's even what people think and are pretty sure is a cricket wicket. Amongst the traces and remnants of this once substantial establishment, perhaps the most interesting and unique feature is the large concrete relief map of the local area, which was used for training purposes. The site's origins can be traced to the decision by the Prime Minister, John Curtin, in March 1942 to authorize the establishment of a propaganda and espionage organization to aid the war effort. This became Special Operations Australia and was given the undercover name of Services Reconnaissance Department. In June 1942, the Z Force Special Unit was created as a part of this department. Z Special Unit recruits were not actually told what they were enlisting for, except that it would be highly dangerous. Those who arrived at this camp on Gari were accepted on the basis of proven specialist skills or knowledge, high physical fitness and endurance levels, resourcefulness, and courage. The existence of the commando school was, of course, a secret at the time. 81 special operations were carried out during the war by the unit across the theater of war, including in Vietnam, Timor, Singapore, Papua New Guinea, and Indonesia. 380 special unit personnel took part in operations behind enemy lines. The training course was intense, designed to push the physical and psychological limits of the trainees. Here on this site, the trainees were instructed in explosives, unarmed combat, weaponry, physical fitness, navigation, jungle survival, aircraft identification, communication, enemy intelligence, and languages such as Malay. The training involved realism and danger. The men used two-person canoes called fall boats in all weather and sea conditions, day and night. Often they would conduct night raids on unsuspecting boats nearby by placing dummy explosives on them. Another regular training operation involved night raids on Maryborough. These mock raids on vital infrastructure required trainees over several days to cross from the camp over to the mainland, then up the Mary River, all whilst being undetected, to place mock explosives on infrastructure such as Walker's shipyard, the airport, and the railway workshops. Were they caught at any stage, these men would have had to do quite a bit of explaining because their existence, the camp here, and Z Special Forces was, of course, a highly guarded secret. Nobody in Maryborough was actually aware of the camp here. The training undertaken here by these brave men prepared them for some of the most extraordinary, courageous, and resourceful missions in the history of warfare. Quite a number lost their lives in the defense of freedom. They knew when they came here that they were training for situations where the odds would be stacked against them. This wonderful site with its unique history is actually relatively easy to reach from Kingfisher Bay Resort. I do it as a round trip coming down along the beach. Unfortunately, the tide was quite high, but you can do it this morning, but you can do it in most conditions, going past the tractor in the sand, the boiler, and then turning left inland just before the historic Mackenzie's jetty and then going up back along the top of the cliffs towards Kingfisher Bay Resort. This historic site in such a pristine natural setting gives us a tangible place to remember these heroic men for their service, selflessness, and courage.